If you've ever booked an Airbnb and felt like something in that house was off, you're not alone. Tonight, I'm sharing 3 stories submitted by people who stayed in rentals that turned out to be nothing like the listing photos. One of them checked in for a weekend getaway. She didn't know she was staying in the house of a man who was still active. Let's get into it. I booked a cabin outside of Asheville for a solo trip. 3 bedrooms, hot tub, mountain view. The listing had almost 200 reviews, all 5 stars. The host, a man named Gary, met me at the door to hand over the keys in person. That was the first strange thing. Most hosts just send a code. He said he liked to greet his guests. He showed me around. Kitchen, living room, 2 bedrooms upstairs. Then he stopped at a 3rd door at the end of the hallway. That one's locked. Storage. Ignore it. I didn't think much of it. Every rental has a closet the host doesn't want you in. That night, around 1 a.m., I woke up to a sound I couldn't place. A low creak, then silence, then it again. Like weight shifting on old wood, coming from behind that locked door. I told myself it was the house settling. Mountain cabins do that. The second night, I heard it again. Except this time, it had a rhythm. 3 creaks, a pause, 3 creaks. Like footsteps pacing in a small space. I got up and pressed my ear to the door, and I heard breathing. Slow, even, not mine. I left that night, didn't pack properly, just grabbed my bag and drove 2 hours to a motel. I left a review saying the cabin felt unsafe, without going into detail. I didn't think anyone would believe the detail. A month later, a woman commented on my review. She said she'd stayed at the same cabin and heard the exact same thing. Same door, same rhythm. Gary's listing was taken down about 4 months after that. I never found out what or who was behind that door. And honestly, I've stopped trying to find out. My boyfriend and I booked a place in the Smoky Mountains for our anniversary. Nice cabin, hot tub on the deck, all the standard stuff you'd expect. On our second night, my boyfriend was messing with his phone, trying to find a strong Wi-Fi signal, when he noticed something odd. His phone kept picking up a hidden network called Guest Cam 2, not the Wi-Fi the host had given us, a separate one. He got curious and downloaded an app that scans for hidden cameras using RF signals. He walked through the whole cabin with it. Living room, nothing. Kitchen, nothing. Bathroom, nothing. Then he got to the bedroom, and the app started spiking near the smoke detector on the ceiling, the one directly above the bed. We took it down. Inside the housing, wired in alongside the actual smoke sensor, was a tiny camera lens, no bigger than a pencil eraser, angled straight down. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. We packed up at 5 a.m., called the police from the parking lot before we even left the property, and filed a report. Airbnb refunded us and suspended the listing within 24 hours. What still gets me is the reviews. 40-something 5-star reviews, none of them mentioning it. Which means either nobody else checked, or somebody did, and just never said anything. This is the one that still keeps me up at night, and it's the reason I always look up a rental's address before I book it now. Me and 3 friends booked a house outside of Bakersfield for a guy's weekend. Big property, listed under a name, Coastal Retreat Rentals, that turned out to be a single host running maybe a dozen listings under different business names, which in hindsight should have been the first red flag. We got there Friday night. Everything looked normal. Nice house, a little dated, but clean. It was my friend Marcus who noticed it first. He was scrolling on his phone in the living room, bored, and typed the street address into a search engine out of curiosity, just to see if there was anything about the neighborhood. The second result down was a local news article from 6 years earlier. The house we were staying in had belonged to a man named Russell Hale, 44 years old, worked as a long-haul driver, lived alone. According to the article, Hale had been arrested after police discovered the remains of 2 women buried beneath the detached garage, the same garage that was now listed in our Airbnb photos as extra parking, fits 2 vehicles. The article said Hale had been under suspicion for almost a year before the arrest. Neighbors had reported strange smells, a woman seen entering the property who was never seen leaving, and Hale's own erratic behavior, long stretches where he wouldn't leave the house, then sudden trips out of state that lined up with 2 other unsolved disappearances in neighboring counties. When police finally got a warrant, it wasn't the house that gave him away. It was cadaver dogs, brought in after a tip from a coworker who said Hale had shown up to a shift with fresh scratches on his forearms and a story about her that didn't add up. Hale was convicted 2 years later. He never explained why. He never gave a motive. In his only interview from prison, he reportedly said, "I liked having somebody who couldn't leave." We didn't say a word to each other. We just started packing. We left at 11 p.m., drove 40 minutes to a motel off the highway, and none of us talked about it again until we were home. I left a 1-star review. It got deleted within a week. The listing is still up today, under a different name, with new photos of the garage. I still think about it sometimes, about how many other guests stood in that garage, took photos for Instagram, and had no idea what the ground beneath them used to hold. 3 stories. 3 houses that looked completely normal in the listing photos. If you've ever had a strange feeling about a rental, trust it. If this video gave you chills, hit subscribe, because we post true horror stories like this every week. And if you've got your own story to share, drop it in the comments. We might feature it next. Good night. Sleep well. Or don't.